Good evening and happy Easter. It's good to be back again. Sorry I've been a while making this next video. I was hammered on both sides over the last couple of weeks. On the one side I had the atheists and the skeptics hammering me and telling me that, you know, astrology is a whole lot of horse shit, excuse the French. On the other side I had the Christians telling me that I was a satanic worshipper damned to hell, and that not one of the 144,000 who are going to be miraculously lifted up to heaven. And I realised that there's no way emailing backwards and forwards with these sort of people that you're going to convince anyone really of anything. I mean, you could put the proof straight there in front of them, and I guess the bottom line is people are going to believe what they want to believe, which essentially brings me to my next story, which is a very intriguing account of something that happened to me in 1999 on my third trip to India. It was quite extraordinary. I was there basically as a guest of one of my clients from the US, a filmmaker there, and he basically said, "Dadhichi, I want you to show me something that's incredible." So I had been in touch with another client of mine, an industrialist from Madras there, who had on several occasions sort of informed me that there were these, you could call them archives or libraries in India. The Westerners call them Akashik records, and there's been a lot of talk about this. The history of all of us apparently is there in vaults with all our genetic sort of past and future, and lovely sort of story. But in fact, this old industrialist from India said to me that in fact in India there were several places where you could indeed go and seek out this record, like a genetic record of yourself. So I thought, okay, that sounds pretty fantastic. So I met my friend Bill, my friend and client. Actually, we met in Kuala Lumpur and then flew over to Madras, and finally made our way to a place on the outskirts of Madras called Palavaram. Now, I'd never been to this place before, and I was fairly open, even being, I suppose, a hardcore astrologer. I'd always thought to myself, well, there's a measure of free will here, and whatever's written in the horoscope, it can be somewhat modified. And this, to a large extent, even challenged my sensibilities. But I kid you not when I say that going to this place absolutely blew me away. It was absolutely unbelievable. I basically couldn't understand what they were saying anyhow, so I just grabbed this young, random 13-year-old kid off the street who seemed to be able to speak pretty good English, yanked him into this reading where they proceeded to take my thumbprint, left and right thumbprints, and from that they were then able to bring out this like palm leaves, ancient palm leaves. Apparently the original ones were 3,000 to 5,000 years old, and I think 700 or 800 years ago they had transcribed these again because all of the leaves were getting old. But these were still pretty old, and they were in bundles of about 100 from what I could see, with blocks of wood and string, wrapping them up so that they kept them intact. And this old priest brought out this bundle of leaves, and my friend and I were there with the interpreter, and they took about 20 minutes, but I must admit I was pretty skeptical, because he was going through these leaves and saying that my genetic thumbprint would match one leaf and one leaf only in this pile of old dusty leaves. So anyhow, it seemed like he was fishing at first. Is your name William? I said, no. Are you 50 years old? No. Were you born in February? No. And it was sort of like, I was looking at my friend going, this is ridiculous. About 25 minutes into this, he looked at the leaf and said, is your name Dadhichi? Now, I hadn't given him any information other than my thumbprint. And when he said that, my ears pricked up. He then proceeded to tell me my mother's name, Esther, my father's name, John, my wife's name, Julie. He then gave me my year of birth, my month of birth, my date of birth, and he adjusted the birth time that was given to me in the hospital records by around 40 minutes to 20 past 5. He told me it was a Thursday afternoon, and by this point he completely had my full attention, I can tell you. He then proceeded to basically read off this leaf. According to the records, there are 14 chapters on each of us, without exception. You can go there and have your leaf sort out, and every aspect of life will be read off here. It was basically not an astrologer giving I suppose, an interpretation of the horoscope. It was literally, with a magnifying glass, reading off this ancient leaf all of the genealogical history of my family, the names. The person drew the horoscope from basically the thumbprint, and I was completely bamboozled by the whole experience. I've since sent around 5 or 6 other people to this place who have also attested to the extraordinary experience. It's an experience that really doesn't have any logical basis, other than what I can guesstimate is that the genetic markings in the thumbprint seem to somehow link up with the genetics or the genealogical histories of us all. It really is quite a mystery, and yeah. So to the skeptics, I was with you on this one. I was absolutely skeptical until I had it done, and apparently now they're actually transcribing all of these leaves, and there's probably a dozen of these archives, apparently in the form of a dialogue, that are now being transcribed to computer records. So I suspect that shortly these records will be available. They even, believe it or not, give an account of the date of death, time of the day you'll die, the condition of the body, all sorts of other things. As I said to you, they clearly named my family members. I must say it was a 100% impeccable reading to the actual date. It even they even read off the date that I would go to this place. The future readings have been a little bit out, although there are some archives that I've heard of that are absolutely astounding in terms of the timing for events in the future beyond the date that you actually get the reading done. These readings are called Nadi Leaf readings. Sometime in the future I'll get a hold of a photograph and I'll be able to show you that. At my other office I actually have a book which has a little picture of these leaves, and yeah, quite astounding, and I can thoroughly recommend it to anyone who is a skeptic. In fact, why don't we get James Randi out there? I've often thought of maybe sending an email to James and suggesting that, no, not you, James, meet me there in this little town, bring a third party that I'm completely unaware of. I think that's the safest bet for the skeptics. I'd be more than happy with the crew from the BBC, because in fact we've been talking about doing this. Crew from the BBC, an unknown third party, bring them along. I don't want to know anything about that person. I don't want the little temple priest there, the old temple priest, to know anything about him. Let's just get this person's thumbprint, pull those leaves out, and let's just see what James Randi and the other skeptics have to say about that. Oh, it'll be fun. Thanks for joining me again. I'll have lots more stories to tell you in the coming weeks.